Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to take a few minutes to recap a little bit of what you read about in chapters 1 and 2. Some of this may be familiar to some of you, but we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And the first 4 chapters of this book are important. It kind of provides that foundation for the rest of the book as we go through this in-depth and somewhat challenging course on political and legal foundations of fire and emergency services. As your book pointed out, and pardon me while I have to look at some notes on this, there's no one single source of law. When somebody says, well, that's against the law, what law are they referring to? How do they know what's legal, what's not legal? So it's a very complicated and interwoven set of circumstances, I guess, when we start talking about laws. There's no one single source of law. They can come from all 3 levels of government, meaning the state, local, and federal, and also all 3 branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. So, and then to further complicate things, we have standards and we have regulations. Your book asked the question, so where does OSHA fit into all this? Well, nowhere. It's not a part of any of those branches, except the executive branch. It does kind of fit in there. So there's a lot to pay attention to. And this is my own personal opinion, in that a lot of times when we look at case law, which is what we're going to be looking at a lot in this course, that helps us to define and label laws, standards, regulations a little bit better. It helps us to interpret them, to apply them. When we look at case law, there's no reason why we can't make new case law, but certainly case law does give us the guidance that we might need to help us determine what is going on and which ones that we need to abide by. I would encourage you to look at your local laws or body of law, whether they're ordinances, county rules or regulations, those kinds of things, to determine what exactly exists in your county or in your jurisdiction that can affect your emergency services organizations. One of the things that we are going to do in the course, and we're going to find great source in our librarian, Katie Shepard, in helping to locate statutes. You'll see in one of the LibGuides for the FESA, it's on the website, on the course site, and I think she's going to do us a tutorial about how to locate statutes, but also how to use LexisNexis to locate case law. And so that's going to be a lot of help, because we are going to do some reading of cases and some briefing of cases within the class to kind of get the hang of what is going on there. We all know that many times laws have perhaps gone a little too far. People sue for anything. The classic case of the lady that went to McDonald's and dropped the coffee in her lap. I don't know about that. So has it gone a little too far? But we do have to be concerned with liability issues. We have to be concerned with standards, with meeting the expectations of the public. Certainly in law enforcement, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, as well as in the fire services and EMS. So being familiar with laws and where they come from is very important as well. Some other things that were talked about in Chapter 2 is the courts and the court systems. If anybody's ever served on jury duty, you might have a bit of an understanding about that. But certainly the courts, as we talk about case law, the courts help us to interpret laws, regulations, standards, and those types of things. There's criminal, there's civil. Sometimes the same case can go into both areas. I think of the classic O.J. Simpson trial. He was found not guilty on the criminal side, but also But then there was the civil side where they did find him guilty. So, as your book points out, there's a lesser burden of proof on the civil side. There's that preponderance of evidence, whereas for the criminal cases, we have to have beyond a reasonable doubt. And your book discusses a little bit about the reasonable man doctrine and what makes up reasonableness. There's also the appeals process that's discussed, whether it's at the local level or the state level. And so those things are also very important to look at as well. We'll be looking at in the next chapters, we'll be looking at in chapter 3, I think, looks at fire services. And then chapter 4, as I'm flipping through pages here, I apologize. We're looking at types of fire departments and then administrative agencies. And I think a lot of times, especially in public safety, public service, we really have to look at the requirements of administrative agencies. And we'll talk about those as they relate to personnel and actions and liability and things like that. I did want to talk just a second about case briefing. We're going to be reading some court cases, and I would encourage you not to get bogged down in all the legalese. And a lot of times that the opinions and these kinds of things, if you can remember the 4 parts, and we're going to do some writing exercises where you're going to pick a case and brief it and share it with the rest of the class. There's always the facts, and sometimes that's kind of the fun part to read. 2 guys getting a fight in a bar. It's always kind of juicy gossip in some ways, but those are the facts, and so we want that. That's part of your brief. And then the issue. What is the issue? What is the law or that's being challenged, or the verdict is what I'm trying to come up with, that's being challenged. What are we trying to do here? So that's the issue. What is the issue? And then the holding. What did the court say? And then the rationale. Sometimes you can get, especially when you're looking at cases at the federal level, they can get very involved, get very deep. Each judge has to have their say. So don't get bogged down in that. Peruse some of those, kind of get the general idea of what the court said, and put that into your own words. Case law, it's important that you understand how to read case law, but also that you don't get bogged down in a lot of things, but understand what the final outcome is. This is what we need to know. So this happened, they challenged this law, well, what happened? And how does this impact me? So when we're briefing cases, just remember those 4 things: the facts, the issues, the holding, and the rationale. And I'll try to write a little something up and post that on the course site as well. So during this next week, we're probably going to be having one of those writing assignments. I'm going to let you go to LexisNexis. I will probably do a little tutorial, or maybe get Katie to do that tutorial about how to find that from our course site and how to navigate. I need that to be able to navigate through LexisNexis and find the cases that I need. I'm also going to ask her if she'll do a little something on finding state statutes, because she does have that connected to the FESA pages as well. So this is going to be your chance to get to know our wonderful librarian Katie. And she says we are fun to work with. And so she is also fun to work with, and she's a great reference source. So I just kind of wanted to recap a little bit. I also wanted to say that I'm still working on the course. I'm hoping to have in the next few days everything kind of ironed out, because I know I need to have that long range picture of what's going to be required of me as we go through the rest of this semester. So I'm planning on getting that ironed out in the next couple of days. Hopefully by Monday that will be on the website a little bit more definitively than what is in the syllabus right now, and I'll keep you up to date on that. If you have any questions about these first 2 chapters, be sure and let me know, and I'll be glad to answer those for you. We're looking at ways that we can maybe have some guest speakers in this course that may be beneficial if you know of one, or that a recording of a presentation that we might be able to view that will help us a little bit. Be sure and let me know as you attend courses or attend seminars. If you think someone might be beneficial, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to arrange to have them. So we're off to a great start. I'm glad to have you all here, and I will be back with you later in the semester with another short little mini lecture. Thanks so much for your time.